Halloween has always been my favorite holiday. I don't know if it's because of the scary movies, the free candy, or maybe even the thrill of not knowing who's really a monster and who's just wearing a costume. This year, my best friend and I had planned on going trick-or-treating around the neighborhood together. Halloween fell on a Saturday, so he was able to sleep over the night before. In the middle of our horror movie marathon, he brought up a haunted house that he heard about online. Apparently there was something in there that kidnapped people and stole their voices to lure their next victims in. Some people thought it was the dead owner of the house, and others thought it was some sort of monster. We watched a recording of someone calling for help within the house, but it didn't seem legit. So we made a bet on it. If there was actually something in there, I'd give him all my candy. If there wasn't, I'd get all his. It was in a forest within walking distance, so we added it to our trick-or-treating route to stop by. When the next day came, we dressed up, got our candy bags, and headed out. When we left my house, it was already around 7 p.m., so the sun was slowly going down already. By the time we made it to the haunted house, it was already 10 p.m. The sun was completely gone, and the only thing lighting our path was the moonlight. While we stood outside the house, I looked out a window and found a figure staring back at me. Chills went down my spine, but when I went to go tell my friend, he was too focused on finding us a way inside. Most of the windows were boarded up, and the front door didn't budge no matter how hard we hit it. But luckily, the back door was broken, so we just went in through there. The inside of the house was dusty and had spider webs everywhere. At first, I was skeptical of this house holding a monster, but I definitely believed it was haunted by something beyond my comprehension. I went to go look around the kitchen, but I was more interested on the second floor, so I made my way up the stairs. The first room I entered led to a restroom, and when I walked in, I was surprised that the mirror was still intact. I looked at my reflection to fix my costume, and swore I saw something move behind me. I turned my head, but there was no one there. I laughed at myself for being so paranoid. I quickly left and shut the door behind me. The next room I went into seemed to be a bedroom. A girl's bedroom to be more specific. I could tell from all the lace on the bedding, even if it was extremely dirty. Once I looked out the window, I realized this was the room I thought I had seen a figure in. While I was preoccupied with thinking about what I could have possibly seen, the door suddenly shut behind me. It was already almost closed when I walked in, so I tried not to jump to any conclusions. But I also didn't want to take my chances, so I left the room and got ready to run out of the forest as quickly as possible. When I got back downstairs, I found my friend staring down the basement. It had a big hole in the door, but it was too dark for me to see anything. He seemed so focused, so I asked him what he was doing while looking over my shoulder. I didn't know if I had actually heard anything when I was in that room, so I didn't want to freak him out just yet. He put his hand over my mouth and said, "Dude, don't you hear that voice calling from the basement?" I stopped talking for a second. I could faintly hear someone calling for us. Now I could tell he was serious. I started to get scared and told him we need to leave right now. Suddenly, we began to hear footsteps. It wasn't coming from the second floor, but instead, from the basement. We could see the faint outline of someone walking out from the darkness. That's when we stepped back and crawled underneath the kitchen table. All I could see from under the cloth was someone wearing men's shoes walking around the kitchen, almost as if they knew we were nearby. Curiosity got the better of me, so when his feet were pointed away from us, I stuck my head out from underneath the tablecloth to see what he looked like. I screamed loudly. Even though his feet were faced the opposite direction, his head was turned 180 degrees towards us. His face had no features. It almost looked like a blank canvas. My hand shook as he turned the rest of his body around. My friend grabbed my hand, and we ran out through the back door. Even when I was out of the house, the unsettling feeling didn't disappear. That's when I heard it. A scream was being played on repeat. I looked around, but didn't see anyone anywhere. Then I realized where the source was coming from. He was replaying my scream from inside the house.